welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my lovely mum. She's going to be the model for the day and hopefully help you out. We're going to be running through some tips and tricks. There are 10 easy steps to help you look younger and avoid looking older than you are. So if you are interested in that, then please keep watching. Okay, so let me first say, and this is really important, if you do any of the things that I suggest not to do because I think they may make you look older, and you like the way they look, then please keep doing them. Makeup should be fun and you should enjoy the final outcome. So please take this with a pinch of salt. This is not a universal list. This is not going to work for everybody. Please keep doing them if you enjoy the way they look. Okay, so all these 10 steps are to do with the skin and makeup. They haven't got anything to do with hair color. They haven't got anything to do with how confident you look. But obviously all those other things do play a part in how young you look as well. So we're just going to go through skin steps today. All these 10 steps are to do with the skin or to do with makeup. So let's get started. Okay, so before we take all this beautiful makeup off and take my mum back down to natural, which she is really looking forward to, we're going to just go through step one. Step one is all about prepping the skin. So it's all about cleansing the skin properly, exfoliating the skin, priming the skin properly, and just prepping it for the application of makeup. If you don't do this correctly, you can make yourself look 10 times older than you actually are. So if you don't exfoliate 2 to 3 times a week, you leave that dull residue of dead skin cells on your skin and the makeup will stick to that, making you look like you've got really dry, dull, lifeless skin. And this can really make you look older than you are. If you do exfoliate, it just leaves a fresh glow to your skin, which is really young looking and will make you look beautiful. You also need to moisturize your skin really well. This can leave a nice fresh glow to the skin, also making you look younger than you really are. If you don't moisturize the skin, again, if you have any dry skin on your face, the makeup will just stick to that dryness and again make you look older than you actually are. If you suffer with breakouts like I do, ditch the heavy creams, go for serums instead. They are much lighter on the skin. Maybe even put an illuminating primer on the skin, which can really freshen the look up, making you look younger than you really are. Okay, so step 2, don't apply too much of the wrong foundation. Now this is going to be completely different for absolutely everybody because everybody's skin is completely different. But for my mum's skin, she is quite susceptible to fine lines and wrinkles. She's got quite a few prominent ones around her eye area, and if you add a matte foundation to those, just going to make your skin look even drier than it actually is, because you don't actually have dry skin at all, do you?
No.
But it will dry the skin out, and it will, because of the flat matte appearance, it will make the wrinkles look worse than they actually are. This actually hasn't dried down properly yet, but it will look worse as it starts to dry out. So on the good side, this actually looks like the bad side at the moment because we haven't got any concealer on at the moment, and obviously we've put a lot more of the foundation underneath the eye area and it's quite a heavy foundation. This is a really light foundation. This is one that I would always recommend for somebody with my mum's skin. I'm not going to go into what actual foundation we've applied to the skin today because, like I said, everyone's skin is going to be completely different. So what works for my mum might not work for you. This is a really nice light foundation. It's extremely hydrating and it's also illuminating, so it will give a very youthful glow and make my mum look younger than she actually is. If you struggle to find a foundation that actually works for your skin type, definitely visit the makeup counters. They are so knowledgeable about foundations and also about skin types, so they'll be able to show you so many different foundations and recommend one that is going to suit your skin type perfectly. Okay, so step 3 is don't use heavy concealer underneath the eye area if you are susceptible to any fine lines or wrinkles or dryness around the eye area. As you can see here, we've used a really heavy concealer. It's started to crease and cake a little bit. It's creating wrinkles that actually aren't there. I'm not sure if you can pick that up on camera, but I can definitely tell from where I'm standing. It also sits in the fine lines and wrinkles and makes them look deeper than they actually are, because my mum doesn't have major wrinkles around her eye, but when this is all caking around that area, does make her look a lot older than she actually is. If you have a look on this side, we've used a hydrating concealer underneath the eye area. It's really plumped the skin up a lot and it hasn't sat in any of those fine lines and wrinkles. Now it does need setting in place. I haven't set this in place yet, so it looks a little bit shiny underneath there. That won't look like that when we've set that in place. But this definitely won't go crepey and nothing will start to crease and set in those fine lines and wrinkles. It definitely won't look dry throughout the day. So this is what I'd recommend if you want to look younger than you actually are. Okay, so step 4 is don't use too much powder on your face. Most of the powders that are on the market, the main ingredient in there is talc, and you use talc to make sure you are fully dry. It absolutely sucks the moisture out of any skin that you put it on. So if you do put a heavy layer of powder on the skin, you'll find that the foundation starts to crack throughout the day because it's drying. It'll also suck the moisture out of your skin, making your wrinkles seem a lot more prominent than they actually are. Now we've just put a tiny weeny bit of powder on this side so it has more of a glow to the skin, making it look a little bit fresher and not so cakey. Okay, so tip 5 is all about brows. As you can see, we've just filled my mum's natural brow out a little bit just to give it a little bit of depth. As we naturally get older, our brows will naturally get a lot thinner and a lot lighter in colour. So if you don't want to prematurely age yourself, if you just fill that brow out a little bit to make it look a little bit thicker, then you'll look a lot younger than you actually are. Okay, so tip 7 is don't use really heavy glittery eyeshadows on the lid if you have quite crepey lids or you have really fine lines and wrinkles around your eyes. What happens with a metallic shadow, and I have used a coloured shadow to be able to show you this in more depth, there is nothing wrong with using colour as you get older, absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. So if you love using colour, please do carry on using colour. But if you use a glittery shadow and you do have a lot of crepiness around the eyes, it will spread as the day goes on and it will just highlight all those fine lines and wrinkles. Also, if you put it above the crease, it will also highlight any sort of droopiness that you have or any hooded eye that you have. If you want to hide that, then don't use a metallic shadow. If you really want to use a lot of colour, nothing wrong with using colour. As you can see on this side, we've not gone for a metallic shadow. We could have gone for a matte shadow if I'd have wanted to. But what we've done today is just put a little bit of dark blue liner on the top lash line. Really, really classy, and it just adds that little bit of pop of colour without it being too much in your face. This also won't spread into any fine lines and wrinkles, and it does make my mum look younger than she actually is, or in my opinion, I think it does anyway. I think you look lovely. Okay, so tip 7 is all about liner and mascara. As you can see on this side, we've put a really heavy liner underneath the eye. There is nothing wrong with putting liner underneath the eye as long as you even it out on the top as well. If you're just putting it underneath the eye, it really does drag the eye down, making it look a little bit droopier than it actually is. If we were to put a liner on the top lash, it would even things out a little bit. Obviously, I wouldn't go as heavy underneath. I would keep it a little bit simpler. But I do think this is quite an aging look if you only put it underneath the eye. As you can see, also we have applied a lot of mascara to the bottom lash. This can cast a shadow underneath the eye, making your eye bags look darker than they actually are. Obviously aging you slightly with that as well. So on the good side, you can see we have applied a little bit of liner underneath the eye, but just at the corner, and it really does lift the eye up a little bit rather than dragging it down. We've just applied a tiny bit of mascara to the bottom lash line because there is nothing wrong with having mascara on the bottom lash, but this is just a really youthful, fresh look and makes my mum look a little bit younger than you actually are. Okay, so tip 8 is all about blush. This isn't a universal tip, this isn't going to work for everybody, but it will work for the majority. So as you can see on this side, we've concentrated on the apple of the cheek. Back in the 80s, this is what everybody told you to do. Just a little bit of blusher on the apples of the cheek. So what it actually does, if you can see on camera, is it drags my mum's face down. It makes her cheek look a lot lower than it actually is, making her prematurely age. On this side, we've added it just to the tops of the cheekbones. We haven't come all the way down to the apple. We've just concentrated on the tops of the cheekbones and a tiny weeny bit lower. And if you can see, it's really lifted her face up really beautifully. It's a really youthful, glowy look, and it really does make her look younger than she actually is. So tip 9 is all about highlighters. If you suffer with fine lines and wrinkles around your eyes, the last thing you want to be doing is putting a powder highlight anywhere near those fine lines and wrinkles. Believe me, by the end of the day, this is going to look like a road map, because all of the glitter is going to sink into those fine lines and wrinkles and disappear from everywhere else. So you'll just be left with the lines and wrinkles being highlighted by the highlighting powder. If you want to make yourself look younger, what I suggest is a liquid highlighter and applying that before you apply your foundation. We have put a tiny weeny bit on the tops of the cheekbones. It's a really subtle highlight, just gives a really youthful glow. Okay, so tip 10 and the final tip for today is all about the lips. As we get older, our lips naturally get a lot thinner and lose a lot of their natural lip pigment. So on this side, we've put a lot of that lip pigment back. As you can see, we've used a lovely deep pink colour, which really suits my mum's natural skin pigment. And on this side, we've used a really light colour, which does thin the lips. We've also used a matte shade, which will dry out the lips as the day goes on, making my mum look prematurely old. Okay, so I really hope you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful in some way. Like I said before, please don't be offended if you do any of the things that I said not to do and you like the way it looks. Carry on doing them. These aren't universal steps. They're not going to work for everybody. But as you can see on my mum, this side, my mum looks a lot older than she actually is, and on this side, absolutely beautiful, youthful and glowing. So let's just cover each side up and see which one everybody else prefers. As you can see here, a really beautiful glowy foundation, really youthful eyes and beautiful lips. Also, the blusher has lifted the cheek up, making her look really lifted and beautiful. And then on this side, we have quite cakey makeup. We've used the wrong makeup, it's really matte. It's starting to crack around the eye area, making her crow's feet look even deeper than they actually are. Sorry, Mum. Also around here, it looks really dry, making her look a lot older than she actually is, and the lips just look really thin and pale, and it just prematurely ages you. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, please do give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already, there is a watermark in this corner. If you click on it, it will take you through to my homepage where you can subscribe. So from me and my mum, hope to see you soon. Bye!